Hello everyone, my name is Steph, and welcome back to Steph and Her Sims, where the Sims comes to life. Now today, I know I have been gone for a very long time, but we are going to ignore that fact as we jump into one of my most ambitious storylines. And it's not ambitious because of the plot, because if we're talking plot-wise, I think my not ordinary spy house kind of build was the most advanced story-wise because of the, whole spy extravaganza. But with this, it's difficult because of how many Sims are actually in this story. And in all, the most I can actually fit on a lot is 10. And we have technically 10 Sims involved. You'll see the technically in a minute, but I'm doing it a little bit different to form also because I'm starting off in the character creation section of The Sims, and I'm going to show you each Sim, and then I'm going to show you them within the house that I've built for them. And I'm going to tell you all about them here and then go to the house and show you them there. And I think that'll be a good way to kind of introduce them before popping and seeing them in their natural habitat. Now, first, we have the father of the household, Scott Abell. Now, this is Tess's husband. Tess is his wife, and they met about 22 years ago at a party their junior year of college. Scott is and has always been very, very shy, and Tess had always been super outgoing, and she just kind of sort of walked up to him and decided, hey, I'm going to talk to you. And she just never kind of let him go. And she set her eyes on him, and just when she sets her eyes on something, she is determined to keep it forever. And along the way, he just kind of fell in love with her. And they've been happily married for 22 years now. And Scott is actually a publisher. He spends half of the year working in a publishing company, looking over books and papers that are going up for publication, working with editors, all that kind of stuff. And him and his wife love plants. But where his wife loves to grow and cultivate him, he loves to prune and trim them to perfection. Being so shy all of his life, he grew up into quite the perfectionist, and this seems nowhere else quite so clearly as all of the books he publishes, which are immaculate. Now, because Tess, his wife, is pregnant. I hate this thing in The Sims. We cannot check her out at the moment. There she is, blocked out. But we'll be able to see her once we get into the house. Now, we're just going to skip over her and her unborn baby, which we will go into when we get to the house. And next, we are going to get into the youngest of the brood. Now, here, we have little Ollie and little Ollie and Finley. They are quite identical, if you couldn't tell. And their mom, although able to tell them apart a good portion of the time, has the boys often wear different color bracelets when they leave the house. So that she made for them when she did arts and crafts, as like a playtime thing with them. And Ollie wears green and Finley wears purple. They are just super adventurous and mischievous. They get into everything, especially at this age. And they're kind of just testing out their environment, the boundaries. And so even though there should be things that are off limit to them, and I tell them that things are off limit to them, nothing is really off limits to them in their mind. It drives their mother crazy. They love to play in the garden and are obsessed with building blocks and are horrible at putting them away, resulting in an absurd amount of blocks everywhere, and not just blocks, toys in general. Now, I'm just going to do a little turn. As you can see, this is Finley, and I'm just going to pop over, and you're going to see the almost identicalness as Ollie. Just completely identical to the skin color, to the eyes, to the haircut, just completely identical. Now, moving on, we're going from youngest to oldest. So second oldest second youngest, is their daughter, Lacey. She is just the resident dance machine. Tap, jazz, hip hop, you named it. You name it, she's learned it. But her favorite is ballet. She trains very hard every day, one day to the next, to be a principal dancer in a ballet company. She looks up heavily to her eldest sister, Vivian, which we'll meet later. She aspires to be as brilliant as she is, but finds it difficult to get the same grades with all the ballet practice. So she settles for fairly good and continues doing pirouettes. She loves to bake and is always making a mess in the kitchen, covering the floor in flour, which the twin boys then roll around in. But no one complains too much about the mess because the end product is just so delicious. She wants to make the world a better place and is just a ball of sunshine and spreads that joy into every room she walks in and to all the members of her family. I kind of went for more a cutesy, adorable vibe for her because the thing is, there's three ages, I like to say, for aging up. Of course, there's a baby, but babies are more like kind of objects at that point. And they only get really interesting kind of when you hit toddler. So there's toddler, preteen, and teen. And so there's technically 3 preteens, but Lacey is the youngest of the preteen. And I kind of wanted to exaggerate that with her kind of cutesy doll-like look. Very younger in that sense. Now, next up, we have Miss Eloise. Eloise is... she is twin sister to her brother, Eliot, who we'll meet next. She is the resident eco-warrior and veterinarian. She's always lugging home insects or new plants to study and observe. The family's pet dog, Potato, was found abandoned by Eloise when she was walking home from school, and she brought him home and made her sister promise not to tell mom and dad. Eventually they found out, but only after the dog was perfectly etched into the hearts of all 3 girls, especially Eloise, who brought him back to health and therefore could not let him go. Don't worry though. The family adores Potato, and it's a part of their hearts that they could never imagine living without. Eloise is also super into botany, which is the study of plants, because her mother, Tess, is one. Because of her mother's strong link to the environment, the house has a compost bin out back. They recycle as much as possible, buy secondhand, and grow their own food. And all of this is overseen by her mother and, of course, Eloise, who is always by her side to help her out. Now, next we're going to meet her brother, Eliot. Eliot is actually few minutes younger than Eloise. But he is just this. You know how families have the sports that each kid plays? One may play this, one may play that. Well, Eliot plays them all. He is a twin brother of Eloise, and she is always pushing him around because she thinks she's older, therefore wiser, even though older by only a few minutes. He is the sportiest kid ever, super athletic, and willing to put in the work to make his aspirations come true. He's very goal-oriented and spends his days running and jumping on the trampoline, kickboxing, and playing sports. He loves to drag his siblings all around the neighborhood to go on adventures, and he loves to go anywhere and everywhere as long as he's going there fast. Unlike his sister Eloise, who is much more independent and just likes to spend her time with animals and nothing else, he is very, very outgoing and bubbly and just wants to run around and meet new people and go places and do new things. And he's just an all-around great kid. Next, we have the first teen we're going to meet, second eldest, Asher. Now, Asher is the firstborn son, even though he is the second eldest. Currently, he's in high school, but his schedule in high school is really heavily modified because he is an art prodigy and is already pursuing a career within the field. And although he is taking the classes necessary to graduate high school, it is really heavily supplemented with college art classes and random time in between where he's able to express himself through a canvas. He loves to spend his days with a brush in his hand and his head at the clouds. He loves the forest, so he's usually the one who goes on adventures with Eliot, and he goes along to make sure he doesn't get hurt also, because Eliot, as you saw in the last thing, he had a band-aid on his chin because that kid, oh boy, he's always getting hurt. He really looks up to his father and the career he's in, and although he wants to be an artist, he also channels his emotions and his views of the world into poems and short stories. He calls them as an extension of his visual art, although, the visuals are thought of, not seen. He's a bit angsty at the moment because of his teenage years, but beneath that thin layer, he is a soft soul of a painter, and he loves his family with all his heart. And one day, with the right person, he wants to have a large family too. Now, the last person we are going to meet before we jump back, not back, we haven't been there yet, before we jump into the house is the eldest of the brood. This is Vivian, the first daughter and the eldest. She is a genius in most academic fields. She is heading off to college next fall to study pharmaceuticals, heavily influenced by her mother, of course, but doesn't have the same love of plants. She tends to kill any and all plants she has ever taken care of, so she put that aside and never really thought about that again. So although she's excelled in all sorts of schooling, she tended to, kind of get pent up and didn't really have anything to channel her excess energy or interest in. And so she branched out a bit and was looking for new interests. And she took some advice from her father and got into gaming. And it was just a brilliant an amazing match to her. She's able to use her expertise in mathematics and calculations to figure out patterns in the games and everything. And whether she's playing any game from, I don't even know, from real life ones, building villages to fighting off zombies, her tastes in video games are broad and very, very, very ranging. And she plays different games depending on the mood she's in. She's even got her younger brother Asher into video games slightly, although he's really only interested in them for the visual and story aspects. Either way, nonetheless, Vivian is glad to finally build a nice solid bond with him and to find a hobby that suits her brilliantly. Now that is everyone we are going to meet here, so we're quickly going to pop back out. And I'll show you the house from outside, although it is nighttime in the town, so I hope that isn't too hard to see. Here is their house from the outside, and we are just going to pop right in, and you will see the house, and I'll show you everyone doing their thing. Well, first off, I would just like to say that we will be meeting Tess, and I will be giving a background on her just as soon as we pop in. Haha, so here we are. And here is a house that currently 9 people and soon to be 10 are living in. Although it is a fairly big house, it is very squishy. And I really kind of wanted to bring that aspect in. Although it's very, very difficult to have a functioning house, as in Sims can actually move and walk between and do things. Because the spatial awareness in this game is very difficult. In the other Sims games, Sims 4, Sims 2, Sims 3, all those games, they have much better spatial awareness. But in this game, it's very difficult. Now I'm just going to do a 360. And we can already see a couple of the kids and a pet of theirs. Now, first things first, we are going to meet the mother of this brood, who is currently in the kitchen cooking away. Now, if I just cancel this action and I take her to, what are those things called? One of these, I can browse clothing and I can show you what she looks like and give you a good background on it. Here she is, super pregnant, as you can tell, and wearing the comfiest shoes she could find. And she's just laid back today. She's just at home relaxing. She's on maternity leave at the moment because of how really pregnant she is. Now, she is actually a botanist that works for the SimTown laboratory to help synthesize medicine out of cultivated plants. She often publishes her findings and through her husband publishes that work and is known in both the botanist field for her splicing and observatory methods and the medical field for her help in producing medicines that help so many people every day. She grew up an only child and always wanted a large family when she got older. She is a semi-stay-at-home mother, just like her husband is a semi-stay-at-home dad. So half of the year she spends in laboratory and in researching new plants for medical purposes. The other half, her husband, Scott, spends at the publishing company looking over new books to publish and meeting with lots and lots of editors. She spends the other half of her time at home writing a research paper and remote auditing her lab, while Scott spends the other half of his year at home editing and talking to authors and all that over email and conversations on the phone. So they have a good balance of someone's always a stay-at-home parent to help maintain is the best word I can say. Maintain this rowdy brood. Now, she is actually pregnant with a little girl. And if you weren't keeping count, they currently have 4 boys and 3 girls. So they're going to be even Steven. 4 boys, 4 girls. And they're planning on naming the little baby Penelope. So right now we're going to pop back into the house and I'm going to give you the grand tour and you can finally see where this crazy rambunctious brood lives. Now, let's start off. Well, let me put her back to what she was doing, which was making everyone food. Now, first things first, we actually see Scott here pruning and fixing his plants, trying to make sure that they are in perfect order as he likes it. He is not as obsessed with toys, as you can see, which are everywhere. There's not a place you can go in this house where there isn't toys. Maybe the bathroom. Oh, and there's sweet little Potato. Oh, see, there he goes. If you don't recall, this is the little dog that Eloise raised from a puppyhood. And Potato is just such a spunk. We love Potato. He is an absolute goofball. Crazy and zany and not exactly the brightest. Because he was raised by Eloise, it's no wonder he sleeps with her almost every night next to her bed. Running around is his strong point, but he tends to trip and run into things very often. He's loving and goofy and is just so happy to be surrounded by the people he loves. Oh, and speak of the devil, this is the other animal that I wanted to talk about. This is the family cat, Tuna. She was a gift for Asher to celebrate his big break into the art world, and he found it so funny to name a cat after a fish. Go figure. Tuna is the sweetest thing who spends her days following Asher and meowing for treats. She loves pets, and her favorite spot for sun lounging is the kitchen windowsill, which can be difficult for Tess to make sure no cat hair gets in the food or to make sure her, tail doesn't light on fire. So we have here, if I go up a level, we have a brick and siding for the outside exterior. We have a small little balcony right here, which is really not really useful for many things, but it's a nice architectural feature, I felt like, because this house is so square. Now, you see, we also went for a very oak gray feel, which is throughout the house completely, and lots of color comes from the kids stuff, the kid toys, very white, brown, and gray. That's following throughout the house, and you'll see it all over. To save money, they have a Prius. Big brood. And this is like the definition of a picket fence house, literally, because there is a white picket fence. And already we see tons of toys. And if we go through this beautiful door, which has this stained glass, I don't know if you can see it very well. I'm trying to arrange it so you can see it. There's like flowers on the sides and beautiful circles and petals, which goes very well with both the parents being obsessed with plants and a good portion of their kids also being obsessed with plants. Now, when we enter through the house, we come into this room, which is like the entryway. Already we see tons of toys, picture frames, and plants. And we have just this kind of place over here for the kids to put their jackets and coats and shoes and just, things where kids can just shove things in a corner and just go about their day. It always gets messy in here and it's always chaotic. And it drives both parents crazy because of how dirty it gets, especially Scott. And we already have some plants over here, which Tess has already successfully spliced. And you can see there's stairs going up right here. Now, there's also a nice medical kit because, oh boy, Eliot is always getting hurt some way or another, falling out of a tree, jumping off the trampoline, running into a creek. He is just a mess. Other kids are also, getting hurt, but he's the main reason this is in the front door. Now, if we go through here, we are entering the garage area, which is a more practical rather than visually stunning area. We just have the recycling bins, the garbage bins. Then we have the laundry area, which has clothes everywhere because with so many kids, almost 8, there's bound to be a ton of laundry. Tools and cleaning supplies and just everything a house needs to function. Now, I wanted to go for archways, also following that dark oak theme. Because I felt like that opened up the area. And in a house this squishy that is so packed full of things, it feels much more open and inviting that way. So if we walk right through here, we enter a living room where we actually see Eloise watching a movie. Now, it's just a very nice, cozy living room. Once again, the pops of color are coming from the toys, coming from all that, and everything else is very muted except for maybe the plants if you want to go there. We have an L-shaped gray couch and these cute little side tables, which also count as storage, which I thought was a good idea for such a large family. Everything needs a function or a functionality to it. They also have an extra beanbag in the corner because not everyone can fit on the couch, and so they kind of fight over it. And just a nice cozy, a nice cozy fireplace, which is child safe because it is not actually fire. It is fake fire heating stove thing. I don't know how those work, but I hope you know what I mean. And also over here, just more storage, just like a nice little dark oak table with a mirror and a nice soft rug to make sure the little kitties don't hurt their feet. Now we have a double archway into the kitchen, which is very, very light gray. Very light, very bright, which is because Tess likes a lighter gray. Well, Scott tends to like a little bit darker, so you will see a mix throughout the house like that. Now we have this dining table, which took way too long to figure out how to fit this in here. Like I said, everything is super squishy. Everyone sits at the dining room table except the twin baby boys, Ollie and Finley, who sit at this little table right here. Then we have, everything has like a function. So we have things hanging from the ceiling to make more space in the cabinets. Then a huge, expensive coffee machine because everyone in the house is just always tired. And just lots of fresh herbs that are grown by Tess. And I thought this was also good for functionality, just baskets of apples and fruit hanging on the wall. So like she can just pop it in a basket or a kid can just grab it. It's just easy, it's simple, and anyone can just grab it. And we also have just a pantry over here. It's as you can see, probably it's a little cut in L shape. And I thought it was just a good place to have a pantry and also add functionality, because if you have that space there, yeah, you can maybe add the kids table over here in that corner, but when you have pantry shelves, it's better to have it curved because that's more space to put more things. And yeah, the kitchen is just Tess's domain, really, and she is really the cook, and also, of course, Lacey, because of all her baking. Scott can't cook for a whit, so that's why she does most of the cooking in the household. Now, the only thing left on this floor is the bathroom, which is also messy because the parents haven't gotten around, because this is the weekend, to cleaning that up yet. So it's just a nice, simple bathroom, light colors, gray, very crisp, very clean, plants everywhere, of course. And there's this bathroom has a bath, and the one upstairs has a shower. So typically the little kids will come downstairs to take a bath, and the older kids will go upstairs to take a shower. And it helps because they kind of designate the bathrooms to different people. Like maybe on this day, these kids will go upstairs to brush their teeth and get ready, and these kids will go downstairs to brush their teeth and get ready, just to make it easier and not as such a long of a line to get ready in the morning. But yeah, we just have lots of towels, plants, a toilet, this nice big sink, and just this nice simple art on the wall. Now, the next step is upstairs. So if we go up these stairs, we are entered into this kind of semi-hallway entranceway thing. This door right here is the one that leads out to the balconies, and there's nothing really there. But there's just pictures everywhere. The family is super, close and knit, so they just have pictures of all of them everywhere. This board is the family board. It has all the information, all the schedules, all the soccer practices, everything. So the kids, to get ready in the morning, go downstairs, they have to pass by this and see what's on today's agenda. And this picture right here, this little blurry kind of mess of a picture, is actually Asher's first drawing. He has just been drawing for all of his life, and to commemorate that, they just kept his first one in the hallway. It's just like a celebration of, we're very proud of you. And if we enter into here, we have a very long hallway because everyone needs to get everywhere. Quickly, I'll just go through the most normal of the rooms because all of the rooms will need very big explanations because of how squishy everything is. This is just a bathroom. Like I said, it has a shower up here for the bigger kids, laundry basket, towels, basically the same as downstairs, just oriented differently a little bit, and having a shower. So that's that. And the first room we're going to go into is the girls' room. And we can see little Lacey here doing pirouettes. Oh, look at her go. We love it. Anyway, there are currently 4 girls. No, not 4. 3 girls living in this room. Oh, and you could see over here Miss Vivian playing her video games. But I kind of separated the room into 2. The younger 2, Eloise and Lacey, are on this side, while Vivian, the eldest, gets her own kind of space. Now, here she is, 2 awards for her brilliance on the walls, and there she goes playing her video games. She just has extra storage over here, pictures and books. And she has plants above her bed, but really Eloise takes care of that because, like I said, she kills anything that's kind of alive. And she just has a nice soft pink bed with a rock salt lamp on her bedside table. And since she's going to pharmaceuticals, she has this beautiful skeleton color-coded for the sections and the bones and the ligaments and everything. Just a very simple, very teen-esque area. And just a storage in the center of the room for everyone to use for clothing and all that. Now, if we turn our attention to this side, we have Lacey's dancing corner, which is why she is twirling. It's just very colorful and crazy and kooky with a color. This is actually brand new. This is from the Care Bear event pack that passed in October. It was for Halloween. It was very weird. I'm not quite sure why Care Bear did a mashup. I'm not complaining, but it was just kind of like out of the blue, considering The Sims 4 didn't have any. Like how we had Mushino do a collab with both The Sims 4 and SimsFreeplay. Well, this was only for The Sims Freeplay, as far as I can tell. If I'm wrong, please tell me, but as far as I can tell. Now, Eloise gets the top bunk. Eloise was supposed to get the top bunk, but Lacey now has it because Eloise likes sleeping close to the floor where she can sleep next to Potato, which he's just her little, dog house. And she also has dog toys and toys for the cats in the little container right there. And she has 2 pet goldfish, which she can never tell apart, so she just kind of named them Goldie as a simple, like, hey, Goldie and Goldie. Can never get them wrong or mixed up because they're both named the same thing. And yeah, this is their room. Very squishy. It took so much configuring to make it feel kind of squishy and close and 3D-esque and have everything functional. Very, very difficult, but I think it came out very good. Now we enter the boys' room. Now in here we have 4 boys. Now, of course, it's a big house. It's a big room. And I think if you cut this in half, it'd be 2 probably medium-ish size rooms for 2 people, two people. But now that we have 4, it's just very squishy. And all of them have such different personalities. I really had to section off the room in like weird ways. So on this side, obviously, the twin boys are, and it's just tons of toys, blocks everywhere. They have a car track and this airplane, cute little pictures everywhere, and books and milk crates filled with things. And we see on this wall, all across, different artworks painted by Asher, who's painting away over here. Although his painting looks a little crude. And he also has a bust that he also created right next to him. Just beautiful art pieces. And in the corner is his laptop where he just writes his feelings and poems and short stories. And he takes the top bunk that he shares with Eliot, who takes the bottom. And Eliot's side is kind of just designated to this wall. He has this boxing / karate trainer where he punches it and kicks, and it's supposed to spin around and do things, and it's really good for hand-eye coordination. Skateboarding, even though his family won't let him get a skateboard because he falls just walking down the street, and just waits over there to train and get better. Yeah, so this is the boys' room. It's very sectioned off weird. Like this corner is for I feel so bad for Eliot. Eliot and I feel like Lacey kind of get like the back end on this because they're kind of like the weird middle children, and I just feel kind of bad. But in a big family, you have to make compromises. And the last room here is the parents' room. Now, looking at it from over here, like I said, there's this kind of contrasting between Scott and Tess. Scott likes a more like darker kind of gray, while Tess likes lighter. And you can kind of see who won out here. The pregnant lady who, has all the babies gets to say. So we have this beautiful, I would say king size bed. It's stunning. It has these beautiful pictures of flowers right behind it, and 2 very light brown oak tables on the sides, just with like candles and a lamp. Very relaxing. This is their space to decompress. Kids are really not allowed in here by any means. I mean, Ollie and Finley crash the party sometimes because they have a nightmare, or because they're still little. Sometimes they wet the bed, so they have to go get mom and dad and they have to take care of it. But really, this is kind of their domain. And we just have this beautiful S almost shape bookshelf. Very sweet, very like soft and light. And over here, just a nice storage bin with some, wouldn't say macrame knitting on the wall. I'm not quite sure, but these 2 are from the boho pack, which I really love. And on this side, they're all ready for baby number 8. Woo! They just have this cute little pink crib and a light blue chair with like with nice quilting punctured into it, so it's just beautiful. And this lovely butterfly. What are those called? There's a mobile. Yeah, mobile. And I never actually used this one. I've had it for a while. And this is just a picture painted by Asher for the new baby. Just toys and books and things that the baby's going to need. Now, that's generally it for the house. And we're just going to pop into the backyard quickly to just show you around. And over here, right by the fence, we have both boys, Ollie and Finley, just going at it, just building blocks. Oh, and there goes Potato. And over here, let's hope we get him in a flip. This Eliot, oh boy, I'm always so scared when he does that because he always gets hurt, is over here jumping away. We have some more toys and just garden hoses for all over for all the gardening that Tess does, the food that they're growing out back, and more flowers that Tess just adores, and their compost bin, just to stay green and save money and be more environmentally conscious. And that's really it. I'm so sorry this video was longer than all my others, but it was much more ambitious story-wise than I was expecting, and it just kind of morphed. This was extremely difficult in a way that I can't really express because it's all just spatial awareness and how the Sims decide, what is movable and can be navigated by the Sims. So to make a house feel squishy and also like toys everywhere and crazy, it's really difficult to have that because of the spatial awareness. So this was very difficult, very technical, rather than, let's my firehouse build. It didn't have to feel squishy. It had to feel functional. And, you had the museum part that felt actually like a museum and the firehouse part that felt functional and real. But with this house, it was just all so squishy and close that it's so difficult to have everything move and be fluid and actually work. So that was my big difficulty. And also getting all the Sims together because, having a lot of kids takes a while. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. And I just want to tell you that you are loved, you are wonderful, and everyone here believes in you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Bye, everyone!